You know she's getting filled by some black stud. You know there's some black fucking bull that's just filling her with cock meat, giving her the real fuck she deserves. Some big black bull just filling her with cock meat. And that's his crazy talk.
All right, folks, how we all doing tonight? And it is 1:47 in the a.m. here on the East Coast, and I'm streaming, because why not? I felt like streaming. I don't really have a whole shitload of stuff to talk about, but I felt like streaming nonetheless. But there are a few things we can talk about. And let's see, we got 7 viewers. 7 viewers at 1:47. That's a whole arena worth of viewers. At 1:47 in the morning on an out stream. Let's see. We only let the meme roll go for about 4 minutes, though. Because I don't want to be up too late. I'm kind of kicking around the idea that I might stop before work and pick up Link's Awakening. I don't know. It's a little hard to justify. $60. There better be a lot of extra content. So we have an article over at the New York Times we're going to take a look at here in a second. We'll go ahead and take that text down. Go ahead and take the slideshow down. And let's go to Windows Capture. So this is on the New York Times. And the article is entitled Women Poop. Sometimes at work. Get over it. Now, before we get into the article, I have several questions about this graphic. Number one, over here there's 2 people in this stall. You see over here on the left, 2 people in this stall. And then one over, we have what appears to be a dude standing up and pissing. Sometimes I like to piss in the stall. You know, you get a little extra privacy. A little extra privacy there. That's kind of nice. Not sure why this guy's in the ladies' room. And then this nasty bitch over here took her fucking shoes off and is leaning over like she's taking a nap on the toilet. I think she's just hiding from her boss. So that's what's going on in this bathroom. Several questions, but let's get into the article because I'm sure. Again, I want to read this. The New York Times. This is the New York Times, folks. New York Times. The paper of record, according to the left. The Old Gray Lady. And this is by Jessica Bennett and Amanda McCall. Took 2 people to write this. 2 people to write this. So it's got to be good. It's got to be. You got a think tank working on this, so it's got to be insightful. There was once a woman who walked regularly from her office in Midtown Manhattan to a hotel across the street in order to use the restroom, and that woman may have been one of us. That woman had a friend at another office job who carried a book of matches and can of air freshener in her purse, more willing to set off the office fire alarm than leave any hint of odor in a public lavatory. The friend had another friend at an office job who reportedly forced her body to do the deed so quickly, racing from cubicle to bathroom and back in an effort to deflect attention from what she might be doing in there, it led to a semi-serious hemorrhoid problem. As her former colleague put it, she was pooping at the speed of pee. Remember the children's book, Everybody Poops? It is meant to teach kids that defecating is a natural, healthy part of digestion. And it does so by illustrating a wide variety of creatures, dogs, cats, snakes, whales, hippos, little boys, happily defecating. But you know what you won't see defecating in that book, happily or unhappily? Women. Now, I'm pretty sure you have to go to a pay site for that. Let's see. We may be living in an age where certain pockets of the corporate world are breathlessly adapting to women's needs, company subsidized tampons, salary workshops, lactation rooms. But even in the world's most progressive workplace, it's not a stretch to think that you have an empowered female executive leading a meeting at one moment and then sneaking off to another floor to relieve herself the next. Poop shame is real. This is where feminism is at, by the way, folks. And it disproportionately affects women. This is where we're at. The New York Times published this article, folks. The New York Times. Now I don't give a shit about the New York Times, and I suspect none of you do either. But just remember, next time some shit lib you know wants to cite the New York Times as if it's fucking gospel, as if things put in the New York Times are carved in stone by Yahweh himself and handed to fucking Moses. Remember that they published an article that has the word poochery. I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's patriarchy, but also poo. See? The patriarchy has seeped into women's intestinal tracts. There's a joke to be had there. I mean, I don't think it went that far in. It disproportionately affects women who suffer from higher rates of irritable bowel syndrome and inflammatory bowel disease. You know, years ago, I remember, years and years, probably decades at this point, because I'm getting old. I'm an old fuck. But I remember, I like yogurt. I like yogurt. It's a reasonably healthy snack. I enjoy it. It's good. I like to eat yogurt. But if you ever see yogurt commercials, they are always, easily 99% of the time, aimed directly at women. To the point where one day I found myself saying, am I as a man not supposed to eat yogurt? What the hell's going on here? But no, because, yogurt has all those probiotics. Apparently women generally do have a harder time in that area. Now, the reason for that is because they have a whole bunch of organs down around those areas, a bunch of internal organs that we men do not have. So it's a bit more cramped for space down there. Because, yes, men and women are different. I know, it's a shock and all here, but it's true. Girls aren't born with poo shame. It's something they're taught. I can't. I can't even finish this. I feel myself getting dumber. I just want to throw that out there a little bit, because yeah, next time a shit lib wants to quote you, the fucking New York Times like it's gospel, remember that they said pootriarchy. They that's the thing that they typed and published. I don't know. That might have been published in the actual physical paper. I don't know. I don't have a subscription to the New York Times, because I'm not a homo, but somebody in the chat says, "Are you going to talk about Trudeau's little blackface fund?" I don't know a ton about it, because I'm an American, and I don't concern myself with the internal affairs of baby nations that don't have their flag on the moon. From what I understand, he's the leader of some country called Canada. Something along those lines, but he apparently was doing some blackface at some point, and he's a huge shit lib cuck. So everybody's throwing shade at him for that. but I haven't followed it a great deal. I've seen some of the memes because he's dressed up like fucking Haji from Johnny Quest for some fucking reason. So people are like doing like Aladdin and Haji memes with it. That's funny. That's good stuff. Um, Somebody said in the chat says, by the way, thanks for sharing the song. Scott Pilgrim versus the World ruined a whole generation of women. Yes, that's a fantastic song. I shared it on the Bechtloff Facebook page. And it's very much true. And by the way, Scott Pilgrim versus the World is a terrible fucking movie. I don't understand why people like it. It is absolute dog shit. I have close friends who think that movie's great, and I just don't see it. I just don't see it. John Steele says, this year I'm going to Halloween in Paleface. Oh, that's very good. You know, I was thinking I might get a bed sheet and a sombrero and go as the ghost of the Mexican that Spoonie's brother shot. I don't know. Actually, speaking of Halloween, you want to know a fantastic Halloween costume? Because this is coming out just in time for Halloween, by the way, folks. And some people are not happy about it, but we're going to check out this article. This is off of the Huffington Post, so you know it's good. Because you know, when I think quality, when I think hard-hitting journalism, I think the Huffington Post. So, fashion brand debuted school shooting hoodies, complete with bullet holes. These hoodies are anything but comfortable. They look comfortable to me. Dystopia-inspired fashion house Bechtloff unveiled its spring 2020 menswear collection over the weekend in a series of Instagram issues. The backlash was swift. The people slammed the brand for 4 new hoodies featuring the names of schools devastated by mass shootings: Sandy Hook, Majority Stoneman Douglas, Columbine, and Virginia Tech. The image of the last one has since been deleted. The most chilling aspect is that each hoodie is riddled with what appears to be bullet holes, recalling how nearly 100 students and staff members were killed on each of those school campuses. You can get you a Columbine hoodie with bullet holes. Are you kidding me? That's fucking awesome. You know, can I get this on my Amazon wish list? Because, you know, Christmas is coming in a few months, folks. I fucking want that hoodie. That is fan-fucking-tastic. And, you know, again, we're talking about Halloween. Go as either the ghost or zombie of a dead Columbine kid. That's fucking hilarious. Like, come on, Columbine was 20 fucking years ago. Get the fuck over it. That is awesome. I'm not kidding, folks. I want one of these fucking hoodies. Like, we gotta figure out if I can get this on the Amazon wish list. Comments on Instagram calling the designs disgusting, callous, and revolting. Family members and survivors of school shootings also spoke out against the offensive garments online. Remember when the right were the pearl clutchers? You know, like I watched Cinema Snob recently. He did what it was called, the fruit, what was it called? Hell's Bells. It was some Christian evangelical documentary on how rock and roll is evil from 1989. And, you know, he was making fun of it. And, I mean, Cinema Snob's a bit of a shit lib. Like, he's not obnoxious about it, but he's a bit of a shit lib, just a touch. And so, you know, there was a lot of that. But, I mean, it was a cringy-ass fucking thing, you know, full of bullshit. But that used to be how the right was when I was a kid. They were the ones pro-clutching. Now it's the left. If I can find that Hell's Bells, we might watch that sometime, because it's fucking ridiculous. Look at the bullet holes. It's fucking awesome, man. That is the fucking tits. It's disgusting. My pussy hurts. That's what all the people complaining about it said. My pussy hurts. But yeah, I want one of those hoodies. That's fucking amazing. That's just absolutely fantastic. What else did I want to talk about tonight? What the fuck else? Oh, here we got another wonderful article we can take a quick look at. let's go back to Windows Capture. So this is an article off The Guardian. Why Ivanka Trump's new haircut should make us very afraid. Do we even want to read this? Or can we just laugh at the fact that this bitch over here... apparently Ivanka Trump got a short haircut. And this bitch is rambling on about that must mean that she's going to run for office. And we should all be very afraid of that. Yeah, like Ivanka Trump is that much further to the right than your ass, bitch. So I'm gonna read that. I think the title spoke for itself there. Somebody says it is the same vein as the shark attack teas they had back in the 90s. Oh yeah, I got one of those. I remember at when I was a kid. I mean, like 8 or 9. I was in elementary school. You know, like young kid. I got one of those from Ocean City one year because I thought it was just fucking hilarious. It had a big old like bite hole in the side with like fake blood around it and stuff. And you know, you're a little boy, you think that's fucking awesome. I mean, I still think the school shooting ones are awesome, but that's more just because it's gonna piss people off, and I love doing that. Somebody says Tulsi Gabbard would break Ivanka Trump like a twig, and I would pay good money to see that. Giggity. What the hell else did I want to talk about this week tonight? I kind of just felt like streaming. You know, just felt like bullshitting with y'all. A little late night stream. You know, honestly, something I was thinking of tonight, and it kind of bummed me out a little. I've often talked about Steve Brown with Key Life Ministries. It's one of the, it's probably one of the best radio, like sermon ministries, whatever you can find here in America. And it you know, it was a major thing that had me coming to Christ. Really emphasizes the grace, doesn't water down the actual nature of the gospel like so many others do, even in this corner. And it just kind of occurred to me that like he's probably not all, I don't want to say not long for this world, but like he was old 20 years ago when I first discovered him. And here lately I've noticed the last year or so, he's just, there's a lot of times where it's a guest preacher doing the sermon, or not sermon, doing the show. And he's just slowing down. It just sort of, the guy never really got as much credit as he deserved, as much recognition really as he deserved. I don't know. I remember a few years ago, you know, I got a book signed by him. He was at a church kind of close to Philly, so it wasn't far from me. And you know, nobody else in the church I was going to knew who the hell he was. Again, they were all following fucking James McDonald. But I don't know. It just kind of bummed me out. Think about it. I mean, I don't know the guy personally, but you know, it's not like a celebrity or something. This is something, you know, his teachings actually had a real effect on me. So, and I mean, I don't know anything for sure. Just, you know, you can kind of read the signs. Somebody says, with Ivanka and Tulsi, do that wrestling match in chocolate pudding, and I'll buy a ticket for that. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Tell us why you decided to join the free folk. To own the libs. To trigger the libs. And save the West. Will Bibi Netanyahu be reelected for U.S. president again in 2020? Haha. Yeah, not all that, not all that happy with Trump. Go into the chat here a little bit. Scrolling up some. Women are hyper insecure and hyper insensitive to one another. That's just true. Women are bitches to each other. America is lurching towards war in Iran, and the New York Times is discussing female deification. Such is the way of the New York Times. Remember when the left was anti-war? I missed that. When they at least pretended to be anti-war, I guess. As those were the good old days, weren't they? Let's see. What the hell else did I want to go over? There was something else I was thinking of talking about earlier today, and damned if I fucking remember. I know. Hyper professionalism here from the Bechtloff live stream. Way back in the day. Well, yeah, throughout the 2000s, throughout the Bush years. They were, this war is terrible. But, they didn't really give a shit about it. Can you believe Trump? I'm kind of torn on Trump because he definitely has held the neocons back somewhat. Like, he's way too in their camp for my taste. We're way too fucking subservient to Israel still, but he's still holding it back. Somebody says, did you see Sacha Baron Cohen made a spy TV series on Netflix? I didn't. It sounds fucking terrible, but I did not know that. No. Like what? Why is everything so fucking terrible? Like, why is there no comedy anymore? Why can't we fucking have comedy? I miss that. Like, everybody like talked about like, oh, Dave Chappelle's special. It was so ballsy. It was tame. It was fucking tame compared to Dave Chappelle's old stuff. Now that's to be expected for the simple fact that Dave Chappelle has gotten older, he's gotten more mellow, and he had a kid. And that'll tend to mellow him out. You don't have that hard edge. You don't have that man in his 20s hard edge when you're in your late 30s, 40s, whatever the hell he is. He's older. He's gotten older. He's a family man now. Of course, he's going to have mellowed out. It's still a good special. Sticks and Stones is still a good comedy special. But the reason it seems so amazing is because we're starved for that shit. We are absolutely starved for it. And, that's why everyone was like, oh, it was so amazing. And then, everybody, all the shit lives like, oh, it made my pussy hurt. It's like, yeah, because it's called comedy. But yeah, relatively tame. Running a zigzag pattern. that was fucking funny. Yeah, sorry to tell you, son, you're probably gonna get shot. Oh man. So he said I thought Bill Burr's was better. I hadn't seen his recent stuff. Didn't Bill Burr marry that black chick and she's kind of neutered him? Or am I thinking of another person? I'm pretty sure that's Bill Burr. For as much of a shitlib as he was, Louis C.K. was funny as shit. And they just destroyed him. Like, he'll probably be able to get writing gigs a little while from now, but he'll never have he'll never have what he did. And again, he was fucking funny, man. Don't watch Brendan Schaub's comedy special. That's absolutely horrendous. I don't even know who the fuck he is. Off the top of my head. I've heard the name, but I cannot put a face to it off the top of my head. I really can't. Bill Burr did marry a black chick, but he's not neutered. I think he's a little neutered. I've seen. He's not who he was. He's not who he was. Brendan Schaub is a UFC fighter. That's where I've heard the name. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a comedian named Brendan Schaub, and I'm like, it's not ringing a bell. Yeah, Bill Burr's a little neutered compared to where he was. I'm sorry to tell you. I mean, Brendan Schaub is an MMA fighter turned comedian. He later became a comedian. Okay. Um, Maybe he's hilarious. I don't know. Somehow MMA fighter turned comedian doesn't sound like a winning combination to me. Um, so he says he didn't even get a hot black woman. Well, that's a shame. I mean, I'm not against interracial dating or marriage or any of that shit. I don't care. Um, you got yourself a hot black woman and you want to colonize and oppress that pussy, you go right ahead. That's good on you. Um, did you see Rotten Tomatoes reviews of Dave Chappelle, critics versus people? Oh yeah, the critics hated it, and the people loved it. You're gonna see a similar thing. Rambo: Last Blood. The critics hate it because I don't know, he's shooting Mexicans or something, and they think it's racist. But I'm sure the audience score is gonna be super fucking high. At this point, damn near want to. If you see a high audience score and a low critic score, you know it's fucking great. At least not much news from Amy Schumer, I guess. Brendan Schaub is good as far as MMA content is concerned, but terribly unfunny. The term is oil drilling, Bechtloff. I disavow. I disavow. This is a stream where we're all about inclusiveness, diversity. Diversity is our strength. All about that. Joe Rogan is the only good comedian that is also ex-fighter and MMA contender. Schaub is trying to follow his footsteps. The first time I saw Joe Rogan back in the '90s, he was on a show called News Radio. That's my first exposure to him. I don't know. I don't really think Joe Rogan's that funny. If I'm being honest with you. Joe Rogan's pretty overrated, in my humble opinion. And now all the Joe Rogan fans are just gonna fucking magically appear like I said Beetlejuice 3 times and tell me, oh, you're just jealous because you don't crush as much puss as Joe Rogan. Yes, I know. His comedy special was just like, so dude, I was totally high at McDonald's and I was like, whoa, I ordered the entire menu, bro. Oh, so it's weed dude, LMAO. Okay. Those Revenge of the Sith videos about Schaub were good. You can see how dumb he really actually is. Yeah, I don't think I caught any of them. I watch a lot of their clips. But, if it's like somebody I have no fucking idea who they're talking about, sometimes I just pass on it. Joe Rogan is not ex-fighter, though he does have a lot of fighting knowledge. Yeah, I thought he was like kind of tertiary to that scene. Like he was like, wasn't he like an announcer or something? He had something to do with MMA, but he wasn't a fucking fighter, if I recall. He was like on some ESPN show about it or something like that, but he wasn't an actual fighter. In MMA, at least. People are saying he has, like, a kickboxing fight. I don't know. Whatever. He's a commentator for the UFC. That's probably what it was. I don't really watch UFC, so I couldn't tell you. The only sports ball I ever watch, the only, and it's nothing against UFC. It's just not something I'm into. I don't think it's all fucking cucky and gay like football or something like that. All those guys that are football fans like, oh, football's so physically intense. Bullshit. Yeah, UFC, MMA shit blows it out of the water. But as far as sports, if I'm gonna watch sports, like maybe I'll watch hockey. I don't. I can sit down and watch a hockey game, no problem. And sometimes I can watch basketball. Like I said, I had a roommate before who was really into it, and I'd watch it with him. They're just hanging out. Um, but yeah, something like baseball or football, I can't stand. And UFC, I don't know. It just, I just don't find it all that entertaining. UFC is not sports ball. It doesn't have a ball. Well, it doesn't have four of them. But um, because there's two dudes. You get it? Did you get it there? I was referring to testicles. It's very subtle humor. I don't know if y'all got that. Um, he has a belt in Taekwondo and in TKD and BJJ, and somebody says it's Taekwondo. So he said not in the female fights. Well, I don't know these days. I don't know about that these days. You might have to double check on that. Um, Honestly, I love doing streams like this. By the way, folks, like the actual chat, like when there's just enough of a chat that you can just sort of bullshit with the chat. I love that kind of shit. Um, John Steele says Rogan has a Jew wife. Well, that's the stereotype of Jewish women is that they put out when you're dating, but not when you're married. That's so poor Joe. Maybe that's why he's supposedly banging all these fucking female open micers. But yeah, the old joke: how do you get a Jewish woman to close her legs? You marry her. Freedom Tunes on YouTube did a funny video on Joe Rogan always being high, haha. But yeah, I don't know. I don't. I think Joe Rogan's show is sometimes very entertaining because of the guests he can get on. But by and large, I don't know. I don't really see it as the as good as so many people seem to think. John Steele says, how do you tell when a Jewish woman had an orgasm? I don't know. I don't know. Does it sound like a ka-ching, like a cash register? So he says Joe Rogan is a quack when it comes to weed advocacy. Well, I mean, she drops her nail file. That's pretty good. You tell John Steele's from New York too with that one. Because that is a New York that is a New York Jewish American princess stereotype right there. Joe Rogan is a quack when it comes to weed advocacy. I don't know. I'm pretty much 100% on board with legalizing weed. So I mean, I'm not fond of weed culture, but that's just because it's gotten annoying. But yeah, you want to smoke weed? Fine, fucking smoke weed. I don't care. Fucking country's coming apart at the seams. The world's run by fucking satanic pedophiles, and I'm supposed to be concerned if somebody's comfortably high in his basement watching SpongeBob. I think there's bigger concerns. So he says, I mean, is a lifestyle, not political or anything. Joe Rogan strikes me as one of those guys where it's like weed is your personality. Like dude, come on. It's like you're not 14 anymore. So he says, do you get tested where you work, Bechtloff? Oh, yeah, I got to take a piss test. All sorts of, any kind of manufacturing, warehouse, those sorts of blue-collar jobs around here, they always piss test you. But I'm clean, so I don't know if I can worry about it. I am A-okay with you smoking weed. Don't get me wrong. I don't smoke weed. I never have. Never. I'm not kidding you. I've never fucking touched drugs in my life. And I'm not saying that like some moral faggotry. I just never had any interest. I barely drink. These last like year and a half where, I've had the captain guest starring because, it usually makes for an entertaining stream. That's like the most I've drank in the last 10 years. And even that, it's not much. It's like, a couple of drinks. Because if it were any more than that, trust me, I'd shut off the stream and go take a nap. Go to bed. So yeah, I'm clean as a whistle in that regard. I have my sins, and they're many and great, but that is not one of them. Did you see when Joe Rogan had Steven Crowder on? Oh, I no, I did not. But oh man, that is so. Steven Crowder is so unbelievably fake, and Joe Rogan's kind of a fucking big old phony. That I don't know. You got to reach some sort of a event horizon of fucking bullshit, phoniness with those two together. Um, so he says, "I love when you have the captain on." Well, sometimes you gotta have the captain on. A little bit Captain Morgan with you. Um, that's really all I drink too. Is like Captain Morgan. Because Captain Morgan goes good at anything. Obviously, you put it with soda. It goes fine with juice. It's fine to drink straight. Um, Captain Morgan's great. I'll do vodka sometimes for mixed drinks. Um, for mixing in with stuff. Um, that's usually all that's ever in the house. Usually, the only thing that's in the house is a bottle of Captain. Maybe a thing like right now is a thing of vodka because I got a little thing of vodka because I was making something a little while back. I had a lady friend over and I did something where you take like a little melon bar, you hollow out a green apple, a little bit of caramel on the rim of the apple, and then a little bit of apple juice, a little bit of vodka in there. That's uh that's a delightful little treat. Um, but yeah, that's all that's ever like. I never drink beer. Beer tastes like shit. I don't know why anybody likes it. Um, Joe also had Ben Shapiro on. I did see part of the Ben Shapiro thing where he talked about like you guys like Jesus. Like what was he saying? Something about like we Jews don't think of Jesus as a prophet or anything like that. He was just a common criminal who was leading a revolt against the Romans. Um, John Steele says Davis said you are dating a single mom. Is that true? That is definitely not true. No, not sure when Davis said that, but I mean, yeah, Davis is pretty full of shit. Um, you ever notice too? Like I'll play Davis's shit in its entirety and respond to it, and Davis will respond when he acknowledges me. Um, because most of the time he'll say Sergeant Pokemon now. But like if he's responding to something, it's something I didn't even fucking say. Um, Ben Shapiro has a job that shouldn't exist, a career pundit. Ben Shapiro shouldn't exist. Ben Shapiro's pure fucking evil. And Ben Shapiro, like his daddy bought him that. When Ben Shapiro was 19 and still in law school, his daddy got him a column at WorldNet Daily. Like it's just fuck Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is the kind of Jew who is the reason the Jews got kicked out of 110 countries. He's the kind that ruined it for the rest of them over and over and over again. And the fucked up thing is, usually when the shit hits the fan, the Ben Shapiros have actually already fled like rats getting out of a ship. You know. Charlie Kirk is cut from the same cloth as Ben Shapiro, another career pundit, never had a real job. What was Charlie Kirk going on like? I'll pay off your student loans, AOC, if you just debate me. I will not be ignored, damn it. It's like, God, it's so cringy. Charlie out there trying to get Findomed. The only good thing about Ben Shapiro is his sister's milkers. I will definitely second that. Those are some delightful kosher milkers. Um, just absolutely fantastic. Makes you just want to show her that pussy. I'm sorry, I didn't say that now, just now. That was probably a deep fake. I disavow. I disavow. Wondering if I should get fucking Link's Awakening tomorrow for the Switch. Might go before work over to the game store get it. I don't know, $60 for supposedly some extra content, but I don't know. I mean, Link's Awakening is a pretty good game from the. I have never beaten it. I've never gotten around to beating it, but pretty damn good from what I've played, and the story is really interesting to it. I kind of wish though, instead of getting remakes, we got more collections, like the Castlevania collection on the Switch. That's another one I'd really like to get because that's got a lot of rare games. Like it's got NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis, Game Boy games on there, but it's got Kid Dracula, which is an original copy of that's like $100 easily because it's just stupid rare. It's got Castlevania Bloodlines on the Genesis that goes for easily like $40. Um, it's got Castlevania 1 through 4, and Castlevania 3 isn't easy to emulate from what I understand. So it really did not get um, it really didn't get re-released a lot. That's what I like. I like when you get the collections with a whole bunch of games. Instead it's just we remastered one game. Here you go. Fuck you. And I keep hearing that it's so hard to emulate for multiple systems in a collection. I'm like, is it really? Because I see people do it all the fucking time. I think some of these game developers are just lazy shits. Like there was a Kirby collection I had on the Wii that it had games from the Game Boy, NES, Super Nintendo, and N64. Like I said, it's Castlevania collection. It's got Game Boy, NES, Super Nintendo, and Genesis. So he says Link's Awakening was one of my first Game Boy games. Shame that thing chugs batteries. Oh, the original Game Boy wasn't too bad on batteries. Now the Game Gear, holy shit, that thing chewed batteries. Um, so he says, did Ben Shapiro have any actual fans? I know one, but really, not really. He's just sort of bought his way into like time slots where he gets he has the 3 to 6 p.m. time slot on AM radio in a lot of markets these days, and I mean that results in him getting a good amount of fucking viewers or listeners, just because anybody in that time slot's going to get some decent listeners. Um, but yeah, he's completely astroturf, really. But like I said, I'd prefer collections. Like instead of getting us a remake, like what if there's a Zelda collection on the GameCube. I had it for the Wii back in the day, because the Wii was backwards compatible with it. But it had Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask as well as Zelda 1 and 2 from the NES. Do stuff like that more often, man. Like imagine if they put out like a Donkey Kong Country collection where you get the 1 through 3 from the Super Nintendo, you get Donkey Kong Land 1 through 3 on the Game Boy, and let's say maybe you get Donkey Kong 64 on there. Like people would scoop that up, or like a Mario Kart collection. Mario Kart 1 through 7. There you go. Or what if you port it over, do Mario Kart 1 through 7, and then port over the Mario Kart arcade game that Namco put out, or Pac-Man's playable character. You might have rights issues, but you can probably get Namco to sign off on that. There you go. You get this one, the arcade game. That'd be a selling point right in and of itself. John Steele says, sincere question, which of the Paul epistles are forged? I'm not the guy to ask that kind of thing, man. I'm not a scholar. Uh, you know, you should probably next time there's a Reformation hour on Past Tom's channel, bug him with that. I like I said, I can't get into the real nitty gritty of a lot of that shit. And I'm not like Arini. I'm not gonna sit here and fake it. I'm not gonna fake being a scholar for you. I'm just spout off a bunch of bullshit. And for like I know exactly what I'm talking about. Somebody just says Conker's bad fur day for the N64. You know, I'd like to play that sometime, but it's like the original cart's pretty expensive, and it's just maybe now that Microsoft and Nintendo are kind of buddies, we might see a good re-release of that. But plus, I don't have I don't have an N64, so he says, "What, you don't speak Latin and Greek?" Davis does. Yes, he certainly does. He's a master musician too. He plays the saxophone, master of the skin flute. Um, the Epistle of the Iranians. Yes, that pretty sure that one was forged. Um, pretty sure that one's forged. So he says, yet Davis can't speak Italian. I don't know. I don't know. So he says you had French mice storming a beach trying to not get gunned down and sniped to death by Nazi teddy bears. What? What in Conker's Bad Fur Day? I didn't know that. That sounds fucking hilarious. Um, it really is a shame that Microsoft bought Rare when they did. Nintendo should have bought full control of that company when they had the chance. They lost a lot of stuff there because I mean Donkey Kong, like you know, Rare revitalized Donkey Kong. Obviously, they you know they're the reason it's not just some forgotten little arcade thing. Um, but you know, after Rare left, like Donkey Kong was in the shitter. Like if you were a Donkey Kong fan, the GameCube was a fucking dark age. It's like you had to play with a. It's like here's a fucking music game where you're gonna play with a bongo. It's not even Donkey Kong music. It's like shitty 2003 pop music. Here, you want to play some Blue Cantrell and fucking Good Charlotte in your Donkey Kong game? And then they put out a fucking 2D Donkey Kong platformer that's just like a soulless, watered down version of Donkey Kong Country, you know, minus all the charm. And you're supposed to play with a fucking bongo. Like, yeah, play a fucking 2D platformer with a bongo. That sounds nightmarish. What's the latest on Zoe Quinn? She's a whore. It's the latest on Zoe Quinn. Zoe Quinn is a whore. Film at 11. Um, let's see. Going through the chat here a little bit. I might wrap this up here soon. I just want a little bullshit stream. Oh, I did a quick little stream reviewing the new Spider-Man #1 that J.J. Abrams and his son Henry Abrams wrote. It was actually really damn good. But I did just a quick like 2-minute stream review of it. I might do a few more of those. Just, you know, quick little things like that. All right. Well, I think I'm going to wrap this up. I've gone on long enough. Like I said, I didn't really have anything to talk about. Just wanted to bullshit a little bit with y'all. All right. So, obviously, we got the Saturday show coming up. You know. Oh, and our sponsor tonight, Steve's Jerky. Steve's Jerky. Can't say I didn't put the sponsor out there. Steve's Jerky, folks. Get you some Steve's Jerky. So, regular show this Saturday. Next Saturday, I got plans. I will not be able to do a show. I might do one really late, like 11 or 12. If not, I'll definitely do one Sunday. So there will be a show next weekend. It just won't be Saturday. But this coming Saturday, there'll be a regular show. And, yeah, that's about it. If you enjoy the content, do consider supporting the show. We got the PayPal, Patreon, and Amazon wish list. All ways you can support the show. You can also, obviously we're getting off the air now, but next time we're live, you can send a super chat or a Streamlabs. And remember, folks, Streamlabs I get right away, so that's actually nice. Super chats I gotta wait for it to get over the threshold, which it does most months, and not this month, but last month I should say. I'm not getting. And then it doesn't come to me till the end of the month. Whatever, you guys don't care. I don't want to be one of those YouTubers that whines about, send me more money. This is see why like DSP, like just goes into great detail about. No, you don't care. All right. Well, like I said, if you want to support the show, that'd be greatly appreciated. And that's about all we got for tonight. I want to thank you all for listening. Bechtloff.